Well. If it isn't the Nullified Take channel and Reality Realness back here on YouTube with Angel Cake Drew to talk about the Challenge All-Stars 3. It's going to be a double header for myself and Drew, but Chantel is going back to back here on the podcast, just jumping off from a Love Island recap on her own channel there on Reality Realness. Chantel, are you ready for all the content that we're going to talk about right now?
All the content, always ready. Got my handy dandy notebook, so I'm good to go. I'm actually really happy to talk about the Challenge All-Stars, just to kind of complete that saga and then be kind of reinvigorated to start talking about the Challenge CBS. So I think it's going to be a perfect evening of discussion, and I'm very happy to do it with you both.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And Drew, how are you doing? It's been a whole week since we've spoken. How are you feeling about all the content we're talking about here tonight on the channel?
I'm excited. I really haven't talked to anybody about either episode. So besides my review and recaps, of course. So I'm excited to see and hear what everybody has to say here and in the live chat, because I haven't even answered any of the comment sections yet to any of my videos. So I'm looking forward to it.
I was so scared, Drew, because I think he posted something on the Wednesday and I think it said Kayla's name. And I was like, ah! Like I totally was like terrified that like I was spoiled by the winner. And I was like, oh my gosh. But just to let you know that like I nearly had a little panic attack, but I was wrong. So it was good.
No. I wouldn't do that.
That's the problem. That's the problem when you're following so many different people on social media. You just don't even know when you're going to get spoiled or when you're going to see something you don't want to see before you're ready to come here on the podcast and talk about it. Again, thank you everybody here for jumping on the live with us tonight. I know there's going to be at least 2 to 2.5 hours of content here with us as we talk about 2 challenge seasons. I'm probably going to get a lot of names wrong at some point. You know, I was telling Drew before we went on to the podcast, why is there so many C's on the Challenge USA, you know, and then you've got Chantel and Chris here as well. It's just Attack of the C names. So I'm going to mess it up. I just know it. But welcome to Lovable Nikki, as always, Randy, Magic, Dindy, Chris with a K, Sophie, everybody here in the live, the Hangout Room, Mr. Butler, welcome, and also those that haven't commented yet and that are just watching at this stage. The Challenge All-Stars 3, the finale has come and gone. We've got a champion, a new champion in All-Stars. We've got a back-to-back champion in All-Stars, so very exciting stuff. But let's start here with the beginning of this finale episode. We take off where we left off, which is everybody getting in kayaks. They're having to go from one end to the other. I thought going into this that Naya was going to help Wes a lot, and they're probably going to beast this thing out because she's quite physically strong. But they actually ended up being Wes's worst leg throughout the finale, where he ended up being in last place. And Mark and Kellyanne really made up a lot of time in this part of the challenge. As they got to the next checkpoint, we had a King of the Hill floating platform challenge, which took me back to my school days. I definitely remember getting into a couple of tussles, you know, playing King of the Hill over lunch breaks and things like that. Chantel,
never heard of that before in my life.
Really?
I mean,
it's very familiar to me. I was like, yeah.
I've never tussled. I was fortunate enough that from the age of 9, I went to a performing arts school. So I was able to use my dance classes as physical education. So I never had the opportunity to play like floor hockey. And since like I was 8 years old, or like volleyball since I was 8, I played soccer and like, you know, softball when I was young, but like I've never wrestled anybody. I've taken one boxing course once where I had to like hit a bag and then I had to hit a person, like just practice sparring, and I hated that, so I quit. But I'm a pacifist.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't have that luck because, as I've said a few times on this podcast, I did karate from a very young age and did it for years and years and years. So yeah, just the 3rd degree black belt, nothing serious. But you know, I definitely got in a few of these types of scraps when I was in school, so it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Drew, is that a guy's thing, or were you like, no, I just stayed out of any kind of confrontation like that as well growing up?
Well, I grew up in Florida, which is relatively flat. So we didn't really have hills to fight on. What my school had was a giant rock at one point. And I hated fighting near the rock because I took a spill in my grandparents' front yard when we decided to play soccer, and they had a rock bed with a bird fountain in the middle of it, and we just decided to play soccer in our front yard, which is the worst decision. And I went headfirst into that rock bed, and a rock pierced my noggin right here, and I have actually a scar up here where if I shave my head down, it like bulges out like a horn, like Hellboy. So people have told me not to shave my head for that. So I hated wrestling on rocks, but I would wrestle my friends for like the last pizza roll. Like that's what we would do. We would fight to the last pizza roll.
Yeah. I think the main thing for me again when I looked at this challenge, right, again, I was like, okay, whoever's the biggest person with the most body weight behind them, they're going to win this. Like it's just it's a reason I've told you guys before on podcasts as well. When you look at any kind of professional sport, boxing, karate, whatever, there's always weight divisions. Like you don't get someone in a higher weight class fighting with someone in a lower weight class. So I wasn't surprised to see the direction that these I guess matchups went in. Brad ends up beating Wes and Brad. Nia and Kellyanne goes up against each other. Nia ends up beating Kellyanne, who looked like a child compared to Nia down there. Like I didn't realize how tall Nia is. She's really tall. And then Mark and Nehemiah, Mark easily wins that. Obviously, the bigger of the two. The one that I was really interested in was Johnny and Kayla because I felt like they were the closest to each other's body type being out there. But Johnny once again digging deep and beating Kayla here for the points. She was impressive throughout this whole finale, really.
Well, Kayla, she doesn't really have any of that grit whatsoever. And, we hear a lot from Janae being like, I got these mom guns, carrying these heavy babies. Like she was able to lift more weight than Brad at some point during the final. And so I felt that she was going to surprise Kayla, which she did, and take her down because Kayla, she's a little soft, in my opinion. I've never really seen her in like a one-on-one combat that like I was like, okay, let's got this. I was always like, I feel like she will buckle here. I don't really have any faith in her winning like a one-on-one combat type of elimination.
Yeah. You go ahead, Drew.
I was just going to say that I was actually, just to piggyback off of that, I was very surprised that Kayla didn't put up more of a fight. I thought that everybody else was like, pretty on par, and then you think Kayla coming in being younger, she does work out a ton, she may be in a little bit better shape than John A at this moment, but John A has the grit. John A has done this twice already, and she wants that back-to-back win, and she showed Kayla up. I mean like what TJ said, she has mom strength, and she completely dominated Kayla in that wrestling match.
Yeah. Mr. Butler here said, I told y'all Team West from the beginning, proud of Janae as well. Seeing a revolution was great.
We all knew West was going to be doing well. Like Drew decided to go first so he could pick West. Like he knew that there was no way that either of us would let West go. So we all knew it was Team West from the beginning.
Yeah.
We had a feeling.
Eddie's brain says, finally made it to a live. Welcome to the live. We always love seeing new people jumping in here. A lot of compliments for you, Sophie. You are looking, from Sophie for you, Chantal. You're looking a lot younger than what you are, apparently. Does people know how old you are, Chantal? I guess
probably. Well, sometimes I'll age myself when I say like a song that people are like, oh, that's an old song. Or something like that. So
you could just you could have just been born in a different era, like you get some people who love like the 70s or the 60s and they love that age, you just don't know.
I mean, the fact that I watched all these shows in real time, I wasn't like a baby, I was in like high school.
That's
I think it lets people know where I stand age-wise.
Yeah, hangout room as well with the compliments here saying Chantal's looking amazing as usual. Like, I mean, geez, just keep the compliments coming. Not so many compliments for myself and Drew here. Drew, you look like a younger Derek, and apparently I look like Paulie. So it's just going downhill here with the compliments, Sophie. All right, so moving on, we go to the next checkpoint, which they have to run sandbags up a hill. And there's a few different strategies that are being used here.
A
Some
good
people,
one and a bad one.
a good one and a bad one, yes. But in hindsight, let's put yourself in their position, Chantal. And I know you've watched a lot of Challenge before, so you may have gone in there with a little bit more experience, because I don't think a lot of the people who actually play the Challenge actually watches it. Like Wes is a student of it, probably does go back and watch it. Janae will probably go back and watch it. But do you get everybody that plays in the season really watching these shows so that they can make an informed decision of what potentially has happened in finales before? I'm not too sure about that, right? They end up splitting it or all carrying it together. I get the theory behind leaving some of it behind, but in hindsight, really, really bad decision, because it was quite a distance that they had to travel.
Like if they had a map, say they had a map of what they're going to need to do, and they're like, okay, this is a short distance, like let's just sprint and like take these sandbags and just come back and make it super quick. If they knew definitively that it would be a short distance, sure, like make multiple trips. But like if you see that everybody else is bringing all the bags, like I would be like, do you know what, maybe we should take all the bags, because if it's a far distance, we're going to have a further distance to go back, and they're going to be closer to where that needs to be dropped off than we will. I think that like the fact that everybody else didn't do the same strategy as them, I think would have tipped me off to like, maybe we should just take them all just to stay with these people, as opposed to like potentially having to separate from them, which they did in the end.
Yeah, what was the thought process that they said in the confessionals, that they were like, oh, if it's a short distance, we'll just drop them off and then come back? It's like, when was anything in this final a small distance? Like, how small of a distance do you think? It's just around a tree? Like,
where was the pushback from Nehemiah? Like, he saw that when he went the wrong direction to that cave last season. Like, he should know that this is going to be far. Be like, no, we should take them all. It's going to be far. Sorry, I cut you off.
And no. But it was like, it's only 100 pounds as well. Like, why not just take the whole 100 pounds? It's not like 120. It's not like 300 pounds where you're going to have to take multiple trips. It's only 100 pounds. So that's where I was like, just take them all. And
was it 4 bags
I hated
in total?
the editing. It was
like 425 bags.
I think so.
So no. Really dumb, because it's like they could each just take 2 bags. 60,
I think they were 20 pound bags.
Oh, okay. So they had
because Brad was going to carry 60, and then John A was going to carry 40, and then they were going to swap, but apparently John A said that they didn't swap. So they carried 60,
like
40.
20 pounds or 40 pounds. Like,
it seems that way. Like, I just don't understand the strategy that they were going for, and it just made me like, and this is where the editing got me, because they were like, oh, Kellyanne and Nehemiah are first. No, they're last because they didn't have all their sandbags. They should have had fourth next to their name, while everybody else behind them is ahead of them because they had all their sandbags. And then that's when they were like, oh no, now they're fourth because they had to run back. It's like, no, they were fourth always. Like, they were always going to be dead last after this.
Zuderman here says, for real, if you don't know how far you're going to walk, you should take them all, especially if you see everyone else is doing it. And a few of them were asking along the way that you take all of your sandbags, and they were saying, yes, we took all of it. So maybe at that point, it's a clear indication you put it down, run back or get the others, bring them all together, and then walk it. I think where it threw me off a little bit, in New Zealand, we do kilograms, we don't do pounds. So I was like, I don't know, like whenever I hear 100 pounds, it sounds like a lot heavier than what it is. But when I just did the little conversion in kilograms, it's not as much. But I'm going to say one thing that I think we sometimes underestimate, probably as podcasters, or people just like critiquing decisions in the final, right? Just playing devil's advocate here. Chantal hates it when I give any of the contestants any leeway, but they've had a whole day of doing challenges. They're probably fatigued. They're probably mentally just not thinking straight. Plus, one thing I did realize in this episode, I love Kellyanne as a character. I've backed her. I've picked her high a few times in my drafts. But man, oh man, does she get frazzled when it comes to the big stage. Like, she just, if there's a decision to be made, I would say 9 out of 10 times Kellyanne, when she gets scatterbrained and she's under pressure, she's going to take the wrong decision. So I would really have to think about this when we do draft picks next season.
I do love Kellyanne, and I agree that she doesn't make great decisions, but she also doesn't have people that she works that well with staying in the game with her. Like, her closest ally in the beginning of the season was Kendall, and we saw how Kendall handles this game. And so I think that she could actually do better if she was working with somebody that was a little bit smarter in how they operate in this game. If she was running the entire final with Wes, she would have won the season. with Wes. I think that she's not necessarily great at anything that's just not physical on her own. And the fact that Nehemiah seems to not want to make his decisions be known, because why would he allow that decision to be made to not take all the damn bags? It was just such a bad decision that I was like, why is he even letting this happen? And so I'm blaming Nehemiah a little bit as well for not standing up, or having a bit of a deliberation about pros and cons as to why you should do that or not do that. So I'm giving them both a little bit of heck here. I think I'll still pick Kellyanne decently high, because I'd rather root for her than a Kayla. Kayla did better than Kellyanne, but I'd rather root for Kellyanne than Kayla. So I think she's still going to stand in this maybe second round of draft picks for me. But I can understand. How about you just let her fall to me then? That's fine, Chris.
I didn't say I was going to pick her last. I didn't say she had the fall from grace that Derek had from All-Stars 2 going into the All-Stars 3 draft picks here early on. But is she my first girl pick next season? I don't know. But then again, you guys know sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to do until the draft starts. And then, I kind of make it up as we go. So things could change, But definitely, I just feel like when it comes to this in-game situation, I just don't feel that confident. Let's not forget, I passed up on Janae for Kellyanne this season. And that's going to haunt me for a very, very long time, because I just thought... Yeah,
I was going to say it was a smart decision, though, because there's no way that I would allow, if I was playing the game, that I would allow Janae to get anywhere near that final. I just would not. And so that is a logical thought, that if Janae is out of the equation here, then everybody else has a better chance at winning. So I'm not angry at you for making that decision. I think that it was the smartest one in the moment, because I didn't think that there was any way that anybody playing that game would have allowed her to get to the end, much less win.
Yeah, I was shocked. That was my thinking going into it, and more credit for Drew for backing his girl Janae. I wasn't too I was a little bit shocked when he picked her that high, but not too shocked, because I know, Drew, you're a massive fan. You have been a massive fan of Janae's for a long time, and you've kind of seen the arc all the way from Endurance through to what she's doing right now.
Yeah, I'll be quite honest. When I picked Janae, one, I had to do it because it was Janae all day. That's my motto coming into whenever picking.
Are you getting shirts?
Players.
Angel Cake Entertainment Johnny All Day shirts?
I will make those shirts, but especially with how she performed this season. But I picked her because, one, she fell to me after you both didn't pick her, and then I had Wes, so I felt a little bit more confident. Even though I did watch the trailer, I was worried for Janae because I saw her getting geared up for the elimination. And she doesn't have the most dazzling elimination record. So I was like, at least I know she'll come in, she'll get some confessionals. She was the past winner. She'll have her hands in something this season. And I hope that she can make it far. So that's why I picked her first. If you would have told me that she would have not gone into not only one elimination, but 2 eliminations, made it out of both of them, and then got to another finals and just ripped that whole thing up, I would have been like, I can see it, but I don't believe you at this moment. So I'm pretty shocked myself, but I'm very happy.
Even season 2, I don't think I would have let her get that close to the final. I would just be like, we got to get rid of them. We want another chance for ourselves. Who cares? Get rid of them. Get them out of here. If I was a winner, I would want to keep her in, a previous winner. But if I wasn't, I'd be like, get her out. Give us a chance.
Yeah, I'm shocked by this. Was the cast just that not onto it? There was a big female alliance in the treehouse that was running it for a while. They had opportunities. I guess Janae did also win dailies at key strategic times, which kind of prevented her from going down there. But Zuderman is saying, well, the cast clearly aren't that smart because they let CT win back-to-back, and now Janae. I think it's a mixture of both. You can't discredit the game that Janae played in the social aspect of what she probably did out there, and the same for CT. There is a reason that certain people win more than others. Now, I know that there's some people that would like to believe production just hands out wins to their favorites all the time, but I don't think that that's 100% true. I kind of lean more towards that it's skill, that if you get there towards the end, there are certain people that just perform better on the day when they get into these finales. Again, Wes is someone here that they let slip into the final again, great at finals. They should have never let him get there in the first place. So I kind of more lean towards it's skill based more so. Like, listen, well, production maybe, I don't know. Like that's we heard some things last season that made us.
There's a little weirdness going on. Not going to
Yeah.
lie. This season it seems a little bit more fair. We'll say I didn't necessarily like the setup of how the final was, but it didn't seem like it was glaring favoritism. So I think it's sometimes. I think sometimes they will do things that will favor the people that they want to do better. For instance, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit when we talk about the challenge CBS, but you know what order they do the dailies in, I heard is something that production might tweak a little bit in their favor. We don't no longer see how those orders get picked, and so it had been rumored that like Bananas or CT will be near the end so that they have an opportunity to see all the different, people go ahead of them and then be able to decipher what the best strategic move is to do well. So there's things like that. I feel like there might be a little bit of influence or a little bit of assistance with production's favorites. But I do feel as though that Janae and Wes both held their own and they won when it counted. They were able to win, even I don't think it was with production help in the same way as last season anyways.
I want to talk about the algorithm so badly, but we're going to halt that for next podcast when we do the next live stream, because I can only imagine us bringing the algorithm in for each season, TJ, dragging it in there to say, let's do this random selection for who goes in what order. But we'll talk about the algorithm. Yeah, we'll talk about the random algorithm on the next live stream. I guess, let's talk about who placed where. Mark and Naya, they get there first. No surprises. Both really physically strong people having to carry those sandbags. They get there first. Wes and Kayla's in second. Brad and Janae in third. And then Kellyanne and Nehemiah had the losing strategy. They came in at fourth. Everybody is shattered. And, Janae has been talking about how difficult the overnight portion is, and she's been striking fear into her fellow cast members there, but they completely flip it on its head. We've got the most epic all-star cast of all time, so let's make it luxurious for them. Let's give them this boat that they can go on. I was not that high on it. I was hoping throughout this whole scene that TJ was going to make them falsely go to bed, and then he's going to air horn and tell them, get off the boat. There's pirates. You got to get in the water, swim to shore or something.
It's like the treasure's on the ground. Like you're scuba diving. Like, let's go.
But then there's no twist. And I don't know if the fact that everybody else expected a twist mentally messed with them more than what it should have. But I kind of feel like we went a little bit easy on them here on the overnight experience. And I don't know why. Was it because they ran out of ideas as to what to do? Was there logistical issues in regards to what they could do on the island at nighttime? I don't know, but it just felt flat for me, really.
I think the joke was on us. We're just well, it's coming. So the whole time we're anticipating that there's going to be a twist and gotcha. But they really got us because we were just waiting for something that never happened. So I think that we were the butt of the joke there.
Yeah, we went from the challenge finals to below deck Mediterranean living out here on the yacht. It's ridiculous. I see. This is the thing, right? You have this point system in. I legit thought that, like Chris said, that it was going to be something like they're going to call him up and they're going to have to get him off the boat and they're going to have to do something, stand on a stump. Why not make something worth points during the night portion or something to that effect, to where people could make up time for doing whatever at the nighttime. So that way, when the portion came up next that we're going to talk about, that maybe Kellyanne made up some points, which I doubt she would have, but to me, there was just another missed opportunity that they could have done something from Rivals 3 where there was random stuff.
Front and stare out at the sky for the whole night. Keep them awake if you're going to keep them on a boat. That would be annoying.
I don't know. The biggest thing that got was some people got seasick on a yacht, which Crimea River, the tiniest violin. I don't feel bad for anybody that gets seasick on a yacht. Get out of here.
Well, let's go from this very low flat point in the episode where, could have had it who cares really about them sleeping on a yacht, being treated like all-stars, to something that I really enjoy. I love seeing new people in the live stream. Nicole Wiz says, very happy with Wes win. Hello to the three of you. I've been enjoying the recaps every Friday night. Nicole from Chicago.
Hey, Nicole.
So welcome to the live stream. We love seeing new people here on the live stream as well. Amy here saying, why was the night portion so easy? Overall, I think there's a whole bunch of people that are asking the same question. I think it was the hardest for Wes because he was the one that seemed to struggle the most with the seasickness while he was out there. We got a little bit more of the, I guess everybody just talking about why they're doing what they're doing, who they're doing it for. I did love the Mark scene with Little Marky whenever Little Marky is on the screen. Let's be honest, Little Marky is the real MVP of the season, If Mark's not back next season, can Little Marky come back and can Wes or someone have chats with Marky, like strategic talks in between games, when they go to the authority and they need to make a decision and he like bounces ideas, or Derek, Derek's main man is Mark. I feel like at this point we need Little Marky. Like he's the cast member I want to see come back the most.
The Godfather. He's the real Godfather.
He's the real Godfather. They were really trying to like milk something out of this at this point, try and give us some entertainment. But after the overnight portion, we do see TJ entering again on a quad bike. He talks about all the points. Janae's leading outright. Naya's really pushing her close at this point. He does shade Nehemiah quite a bit here, saying that you'd be dead last if it wasn't for the 5 points prior to the finale. See, we've got to ask ourselves, this 5 points that people got beforehand, the Stars twist. Now that we've seen it play out in the finale, yay or nay, I feel like it's
Big
a bit of a
fat
flat
who
one
cares. Like who cares? Like literally, who cares? I don't know. I thought it was a waste. And it could have been more. I think it would have been more interesting if they knew what the value was, what it was for, because they might have just chosen things differently. It wasn't only like the most star holder was going to be able to use get that extra 5 stars. Like I don't know. I think that could have been worked. Let's send it back to the workshop. Like let's work on that.
Well, it does give Nehemiah a spot in the finale, the final leg of the finale, because those points helped them get into second place. So Wes, Nehemiah, Janae, and Naya, they've all secured their spot in the second day of the finale. But we're going to have, a purge or an elimination at this stage where Brad will have to go up against Mark and Kellyanne will have to go up against Kayla.
On the world's easiest crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
The easiest crossword puzzle I think I might have ever seen in my life. Sorry.
But you know what really surprised me with this whole thing is Kayla, right, saying, I don't know how I got it. I don't even know countries. Like, you just spelled out countries. Clearly you know something. Like, I feel like she plays up, like, surely that ditziness a little bit for the camera. But at the end of the day, they actually had the cities. Right, so they were like, "Oh, you've got to remember what was on this board or this map inside of the house. Make them actually do it off memory." But they didn't. They had the cities there, like Buenos Aires is Argentina or whatever. Like, if you know cities or capitals of countries, I think you're pretty solid. Like, I mean,
or if you watch the show.
Yeah. Or if you watch the show. Like, I mean, I could have done it, and I haven't seen every single season of the early seasons, but I could have done it just based off cities. I would know most cities
doing
in
the
which
crossword puzzle.
Yeah, and just doing the
Start
crossword
with
puzzle.
what you know and work backwards, and that's what Kayla did. And she thinks like, oh, I just guessed. Like, no, you actually just did the crossword puzzle. How you're supposed to do it? Like, you're like, oh, USA. They're the only 3 letters here. Okay, let's put that in there. What letter do I have? What word do I know or country do I know that starts with I don't know if it was an A. We'll say A. I'm like, maybe Argentina. Let's try that. Does that fit? And that's how you do a crossword puzzle. It's just so shocking to me that everybody had trouble with this, because there was like 10 countries that are all countries that you are at least have heard of before, because you've watched at least a few seasons of the show. And the fact that this was difficult for anybody, even Kellyanne, who studied these, I'm like, I'm just flabbergasted. It's disappointed.
Yeah, it was definitely flat. Yeah, Brad, what did you think of this puzzle as a whole, and also the fact that we end up losing Kellyanne and Mark here? For me, Mark was probably the one. I loved Brad this season as well. Brad really deserved the spot on the second day. He's been he had a very, very solid season. Let's give credit where it's due, but it was kind of sad to see Mark go out in this way because I knew the motivation for him being there, and I kind of got behind his story a little bit, but he struggled throughout most of the first day in any case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it all came down to that puzzle, but it's also like I think that Mark and Kellyanne should have been eliminated just because they were on the bottom and they didn't do well at all in the first day. Like, Mark was kind of roaring back a little bit, but we knew from what he did in the first day that I don't think even with a good night's sleep on the yacht was going to do much to really improve what he was going to do this time around. Like, I almost think like he wiped the sweat off of his brow that he didn't have to run to that eating portion and eat that disgusting food. Kellyanne, I was very disappointed. We've already talked about Kellyanne, but I was very disappointed with her performance throughout the whole final. I was really hoping to see a lot more strong passion from her, but she was doing a lot of floundering throughout this whole thing. So, I mean, I get that we don't like Kayla and that Kayla should have went home because at least Kellyanne studied the map, but I also think that Kayla has done better overall in these finals, and I would have rather seen her cry over eating that food than her just walking off unable to do a crossword puzzle.
But I was hoping, though, because we saw Naya and Janae being like, oh, this could be karma coming back to her for this cheating scandal. So I was just praying that was what would have happened, that she got her comeuppance from that moment. Like, obviously, we already decided that like cheating is fine, and I'm fine with cheating in the challenge. But the fact that she pretended like she didn't cheat, and it was just obviously, as you know, really annoying to me. I was really hoping that Kellyanne, who studied it, was going to be able to come out on top, and they would have their battle that Kellyanne so wanted to have down in the arena. She was so pissed that they weren't going to be able to fight it out in the arena. It's like, please.
Yeah. Quite a lot of comments here. Currently, we've got Levi saying that Johnny only won because she just finished the season and was more ready. Let's be honest. Definitely wouldn't have hurt her. I don't like probably not the only reason, but definitely would give you an edge, I'd say. And coming into back-to-back seasons.
Youth also helps, I think.
Definitely. And there was a few people here earlier that were asking why, and I kind of lost that comment, but whoever asked the question, thank you for that. They asked, why do we see All-Stars when everybody comes back every single season? What's the difference in an All-Stars challenge season versus just a normal challenge season? And for those that are quite new to the challenge franchise and that haven't seen it, the original, I guess, concept of why they wanted to do an All-Stars was to bring back people that were stars from the early season. So I think there was few different names being floated about. We want OGs. There was a couple of different sort of, I guess, themes up potentially for grabs, but they went with All-Stars so they could have a wider pool of people that they could select just in case some of the older players didn't want to come back. But I think it's kind of sort of morphed into something differently. The way that the show's going currently, Chantal, with having this mixture of younger, youthful players playing with the OGs, clearly youth is winning out in most cases every single season. Do you feel like All-Stars is played out? Are you still kind of wanting an All-Stars 4 based off what you've seen? Like, and Drew, same for you afterwards. Like, where do you guys sit in regards to this currently? Do you think it still has a place with having so many challenge shows now? We've got Challenge USA, we've got the main challenge. We're going to have other countries pretty soon that's going to come up with challenge shows. Do you feel like All-Stars has sort of done what it was supposed to do to give people a little bit of that taste of what it was about in the past, or do you feel like it's done now?
I wish that they had stuck with the original concept that we were all excited by, and it was that only actual OGs were going to be playing. And now I understand that they wanted to have a wider pool, so they're like, oh, it's All-Stars, so we can say anybody was an All-Star. Everybody that made it to a final, even though Naya hadn't actually made it to a final. But like, I do get that. But I guess I would hope that they would just go back to that format, because I don't want to see Kayla again on this season. I don't want to see them going against people that are 15, 20 years older than them. And then the older people getting taken out because they're hurt because they're not in as good a physical shape as the younger people. I think that they messed up the formula by putting, you were talking about weight classes earlier. It's age classes is a thing. Like, yes, we know some people are super tough and strong. We know that Wes is almost 40. We know that CT is in his 40s. Same with Bananas, same with Brad. Yes, they're able to
Mark's
hold their
impressive.
own.
I'm going to say Mark's impressive for someone who's 50.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
know, we saw Kellyanne massaging out Brad's leg on the final. Like, we see that Veronica hurts her foot. Like, I know it wasn't in the challenge, but maybe if she was younger and in better shape, that she wouldn't have actually fallen and hurt herself as badly. Same with Tina. She was wrestling with somebody that's a lot younger than her, and she was holding her own, obviously, but she still managed to hurt herself. And so I wish that they would just keep people, like, if you want to do like an all-stars for the youth, like, go for it. I'll probably watch it. But I just wish that they were doing like an OG thing where we can see these older people come back and just keep competing with people their same age bracket. So I think that they kind of messed up the formula. Personally, I'm not as excited to see what's next because I think that they lost the plot a little bit on how to cast this series.
I love All Stars, and I do think that it still has a lot of gusto. I honestly, I would like to see more OGs being represented on the show, but I will say that I'll just watch an All Star season with whoever they throw on there. Let's not forget, CT, who's called Pops, is running laps around younger contestants on the main season of the challenge, doing twice as difficult things than they are on All Stars. So I think that it is the level of competition and the mindset of everybody who is in the competition that they get for these shows. So to me, I think that there's still a lot to give. I think there's still a lot of people that would like to do All Stars that haven't had the opportunity or have been shown or given an opportunity. So I'm hoping that we have not just one more All-Star season, not just two, but I hope we get a ton more because I do want to see Cynthia come back and get that redemption arc. I want to see Tyler actually come back in better shape. I want to see Melinda's foot heal, even though she's pregnant right now. So she's probably not going to be coming back. But you know what I'm talking about. Not MJ.
Evelyn, Landon, there's a whole bunch of big names.
Absolutely.
So I that's just my thought process is that All Stars does definitely hold some reverence and I do think and relevance. And I do wish that we would get like a huge coming soon All Star season 4 and we would see.
Do we care? I know that Johnny has won, made it to the final all 3 seasons that she's on. Do we need to see her there again and take that spot from somebody that we haven't seen in a long time?
I agree. Definitely bring some others in if you can. I think that there has been some logistical issues with some of these all-stars that have moved on with their life and obviously have got jobs or careers and they can't just leave even if it's a month at a time. But Carly has said, don't know about you guys, but the Challenge All-Stars and the Challenge USA have gotten me more excited about the challenge than the main season for quite a while now. I do agree. I really like both of them. And the main show has been very predictable at times. I think we've, on this podcast, have said it many a times. They're bringing back the same vets that easily take out the rookies. And it's also just an alliance that I think a lot of people can't get behind, which is very difficult to support when you've seen that play out for 3 seasons in a row. So I understand why a lot of people go in that direction. The Hangout Room says, thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. The Hangout Room and Lovable Nikki, thank you so much for, again, being moderators today and looking after the chat. Not that you have to do too much work. I can see that everybody's behaving really well so far today, which is good. There's still a lot of time for me to screw up, though, and say something where I mix up names and people come at me as well. So we'll see what happens in the next hour and a half.
I do want to say that we do need John A back because I am printing those John A all day t-shirts or John A slays all day, and we can't just not have her on the next season. I mean, what am I going to do with all that inventory?
She's going to go for the hat trick now. I mean, if you've got 2 in a row, we've got to see CT stepped away, didn't go for the hat trick. Will Janae step up to the plate and see if she can do 3 in a row? Like if she gets to the end and wins this next one, geez, legendary status, right? If you could do she's already, I think, touching that level of player just by winning twice in a row and dominating socially the way she has. She's been in 3 finals in a row. It's impressive.
I at this point though I don't know if she'll do it, but I would like to see if she would be able to hold her own on the main season. I definitely think that she's been impressive here, but as I've said before, she's at least a decade younger than most of the other women and men even on the cast. And so I would like to see if she's with people her own age that are used to the strategy portion of it, that are not coming back as fish out of water and just like want to stay as long as they can and just kind of like fumbling through and seeing what was going on. Like I would like to see people that were a little bit up to date with how the challenge works. And if she could do it again, then I could maybe be like, well, you're the best. I know you John A slays all day, John A all day. I get it. But I now would like to see her with people just in her age category to see if she still got the juice to go over to the main season.
Also, a question here being asked, maybe we should do an All-Stars versus main challenge season. I think Mark's been advocating for that for a while.
I think the main season would win out.
Yeah, just physicality. I think it'll be very difficult to go up against the main season. Plus, the one thing we do have to admit is that I feel like the dailies it's definitely toned down compared to what you see in the main show, and even what potentially we will be seeing coming up with the Challenge USA. I feel like they're going to up the ante closer to what we see in the main show in regards to physicality and scale of the challenges, the dailies that they'll be doing. I think will be a lot more difficult. But we still have a few things to get through. Sorry, you go ahead.
I just want to say, even though last year, at the final, when those algebra equation that was 2 of this equals 5 or equals 10, it was something that was so easy that I don't think that the main season, I know that they've made it a little bit easier, their math equations, but I don't even think that would compares. And so I want to see if she would be able to be as impressive on the main season, just because there's some elements of All Stars that's a little bit easier, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, we like it for the entertainment value, not necessarily for the challenges being, and the music, not necessarily for the challenges itself being more difficult than the main show. Also here, going into the last day, they have to run up to an eating portion. Now, I've said many a times here on the podcast that, I know, Chantel, you would love to do the challenge. I think I'm in the camp of probably not when I see an eating challenge come up, because I would absolutely not be able to do it. I am a very picky eater. I definitely don't think I could have eaten what they ate there. They had to eat what was it, 2 pounds or something? I'm probably going to get my weight. Yeah, it's a lot of food, right, to eat. And there was a lot of, hoo-ha made around Nehemiah not having eaten any meat for 15 years. I've got a problem. I know it's not his religion, but still, morally, this guy's made a decision that he does not want to eat meat. I feel like we should give him something really disgusting to eat that isn't meat. There should be a substitute for people that don't. I don't eat the fact that he had to eat it.
I don't eat meat, and I would eat the meat on the challenge. I mean, so obviously there's people that choose not to eat meat for different reasons. And I think that I would probably put those aside, because I think that I would be able to do more with my reasonings and rationales for not eating meat with $250,000 than I would if without. My morals isn't going to, help as much as $250,000 would. So I personally would eat meat, even though I haven't eaten meat since 2011, 2012. So.
Yeah, so interesting here. Austin is saying that they said on Mark's podcast that Brad complained about production about the women having to eat the same amount of weight, so they changed it for the women, which is, in my opinion, it's fair. There's got to be a body weight to meat consumption type of thing, ratio there. I don't personally have too big of a problem. And also, just before we go to you, Drew, I wanted to say welcome to another new person here in the live stream, Shanae. First live from the UK. Love the UK. I lived in the UK for 2 years myself. So welcome to the live stream as well. Drew, how would you do in one of these challenges? Would you lean towards Chantel or my way of thinking when it comes? Listen, I think I say this in jest now. I wouldn't eat it. But when I'm there, I think I would attempt it.
If we
But I
were
would
on the
so
Amazing
struggle.
Race and you didn't eat like that 100-year-old egg, like I
feel I could do
would
that.
wring your neck out. What?
The problem for me with this one was the sheer volume of disgustingness they had to put inside themselves. You know, like the Amazing Race, when they had to eat that egg, it was like one or two, it was a couple. It wasn't the same volume of nastiness. That's what I would struggle with. I really think I would struggle with it. Like, I'm just being honest. I know a lot of people are like, I'll go in there and I'll kill it. But then
You
again,
better
saying that,
like gross food train if we ever go to the Amazing Race.
I feel like that's something I don't want to train for. I would just jump in cold turkey. Like, listen, I also wouldn't do bungee jumping, but if I was on the Amazing Race, I would go do it. You know, like there's certain situations where you maybe would do it, but I definitely lean towards being grossed out by it. Drew, how do you feel about this? Break the tie.
I like eating challenges, and I would look forward to them because I feel like I can get through eating. Like I don't like heights. I don't like snakes. I would do heights more than snakes, but when it comes to eating, I would try to just power through it. I mean, I really do think I could do well at eating challenges. I've eaten some disgusting stuff
Such as
in my time. We'll not get into it, but I've done some disgusting stuff. And so to me, I feel like that's where I would shine. Like I try to go through the Tony time, Hunter, and the only way I want to be like Hunter is eating disgusting stuff. And I think I could get through this pretty
and
well.
you get it all in your beard. That would be tasty for later.
Yeah, I would play with them like I did Wes and just puke on my beard so I could just be like, look at it, it's gross.
It's so gross. Yeah,
Christina wants to see me and you on the Amazing Race, Chantal. So we've got her endorsement just to see Chantal scream at me, eat that egg, all of it now.
Eat it. I mean, I'm like, I would do it, but I'd probably be crying at the same time, you know. Like, this is so disgusting when I'm eating it. Like,
it would be a lot of fun, definitely. I mean, like I said, if you're out there, you do what you need to do to get
how
the
about
job
the mac
done.
and cheese? How are you with that?
You see, again, that didn't bother me. There was something about there was something about how this food looked on that plate that just looked very raw, and it looked like it looked like intestines, and like there was brain there. I mean, brain.
I'm sure it was cooked. Like
Yeah.
some people were saying it was liver, and I'm like, liver's fine. I mean,
You know what? I would like I would get a little bit of salt or something, or like spices. Like South Africans love these spices, and I would like carry it on me. I would like have like a little compartment in my sock, so when I get there, I'd just be like putting some spices on it, try and pretend like it's.
Could do that on the Amazing Race if you could bring like spices just in case you had a gross food eating challenge that you could just like spice it up, a little hot sauce, and just
a little bit of hot sauce, you know, just get some flavor on this thing so I can like mask the, because I feel like they make that bland as can be as well. Like when you eat it, it's probably just real bland.
Well, one of the reasons why a lot of Caribbean countries or like hot countries like hot sauce so much is that they would use it to mask any food that might have gone a little bit off when they didn't have like refrigeration. So using that hot sauce to mask the flavor of those rancid brains and intestines, like we're bringing hot sauce with us, and then we'll start like our own hot sauce line after.
Yeah, a whole bowl of mayonnaise. We'll get the comeback of the mayonnaise coming into this as well. Also, Sophie saying Drew and Chris could make a good team as well. There's a lot of different variations here. I'm being put in a lot of different variations, even with Fanta. Like, what is it? I just feel like people want to see me on the Amazing Race for some other reason.
Well, Fanta loves watching the Gross Food Challenge. I don't know if she would do it herself, though. I'll find out.
Yeah. I just feel like people want to torture me with people who would easily eat this food and then just give me grief. Like I would like, honestly, like I reckon when you do a challenge, like a challenge in a duo setup, or if you do the Amazing Race, like the worst fear is to be the one that sucks within the team that holds them back. It's like, I don't want to be that person. So I would probably just, you know, put my man pants on and just get through it. Like if I'm out there and get through the eating challenge.
Well, if there's like, I'll do the eating, like things that can chew, I'll be fine with, but I'm not really good with liquids that have like a weird consistency. So I'll give you the liquids. I mean, I'd do it, but like it could make me throw up. I have an allergy to yogurt or like something happened to me I bet I told you guys this story before, but when I was about 2 years old at the daycare, I remember having strawberry flavored yogurt and I got so sick that I threw up for like 2 days. Like I was just so sick. So I never really had yogurt or strawberry flavored milk products because it always just tastes like vomit to me. And yogurt already has that kind of taste. So I recently, maybe like 10 years ago now, but like I had an audition where I had to like eat strawberry flavored yogurt. And so like I put like the tiniest bit on a spoon and I took it in and I ate it. And I was like, it doesn't taste as bad. But then like, do you know when you could feel from the inside that it's just not working with your body? And like my heart started racing and I could probably projectile vomit on command. Like it was pretty gross. So
I hope no one's eating. We should have given them a warning before you started the story.
So I'm not the greatest with like sour milky type things, just because it just reminds me of vomit, and then it just will make me projectile vomit for sure. So you might have to do some drinking of like if like any warm yogurt or something. That's all you, babe.
The funny thing is, I know we got to move on from this eating thing because we've been on it for like ages. That also happened to Michelle and myself when we were covering, not your Michelle, my Michelle, when we were covering the Amazing Race, and we got onto the eating portion. It took up like 25 minutes of our podcast just going into food. But they had so much food on the yacht before they had to go do the eating challenge as well. It's like not really well thought out. You almost want to go in there with an empty stomach before you have to eat this stuff. And be hungry, so you actually like force it in. But Wes leaves first. You also get Janae out there second. Brad and Kayla follows on, and Nehemiah and Naya really get stuck. I do want to give a shout out to Naya for pushing through. I know she had a very low self-esteem coming into this finale, nearly quitting, but she did get away to get through it. Again, Nehemiah did definitely encourage her, and she probably like different people are different.
Do you think that we could catch up if we even finish this? And it's like, that's not a final running attitude that I want. Not at all. So unfortunately, I did have a lot of high hopes for Naya. I loved her one-shot Naya moment. I thought that was fun. But for me, if she were to come back, she would fall quite low on my draft list, lower than Kellyanne, I think. And I think I've had enough. I think I'm good with my intake of Naya at this point.
We're in that portion now of the life where it's just Rose, Chris, and Drew time. Apparently, CT would destroy us in elimination. I don't think I've ever claimed that I would destroy CT. I kind of feel like I would be Jay versus Rogan in this situation.
Potentially.
Let's be honest. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest to ever do it. So I don't think it's going to go too well for us if we end up going up against them. But the last portion of this is them just having to do Jenga, basically build some blocks on top of each other. Wes and Janae get away first. Wes is way ahead, obviously gets onto the yacht. The funniest part of the finale, and me and Drew spoke about this just before going live, was the fact that the boat just took off with both Brad and Kayla still in the water trying to get there, and they had to swim back out to the beach to walk on the beach. I thought it was a really savage moment there by TJ to just let the yacht go while these two are still trying to get to the finish line. So they didn't even get to go to the finish line.
I mean, I'm happy that it happened that way for Kayla.
Because of Kayla. Jeez.
Yeah, this was really quickly at the end. I mean, I think you missed the star puzzle that was took 2 seconds to finish it up. I mean, when you look at the edit, it was Wes showed up, then they tried to show like John A and Brad showing up, like kind of close. It wasn't even close. Wes already did the puzzle and took his surfboard and was running down the beach before John A even showed up. And I think John A also was running down the beach to the last checkpoint before Brad even showed up. So it was like Brad and Kayla just trying to put that star puzzle together. So I think that this was, once Wes left the eating portion, it was over. Like it was just gone. Like they got there, they took off, and then you could see even when Wes gets the check for the star, I mean, Brad has one little row on the bottom, and it's just like, yeah, you're done, dude. Like you lost. You're not going to win this thing. So yeah, I think it was just overwhelming.
Were they like on a like a time constraint or something for having to be off the island? Because I felt like that last bit was just like, well done, Wes, here's your check. Well done, Janae. Woo, 2 times in a row. Let's get out of here. Because like there was so much time spent on the boat, on the yacht before the second day, and then very little actually about, again, we don't get a reunion or anything like this. It's like kind of rip off the Band-Aid. It's happened. Now let's forget about it and move on. Did you get that feeling as well, Chantel?
I was going to say, and also, didn't they say that the money was on the yacht? Like, I would open up that chest. I want to see the money or the check. Like,
Yeah.
like why didn't that moment happen? It only really seemed to be Janae being like, "Am I smarter than you now?" or whatever she said. But yeah, I wish that there was a better moment at that point. I think it's funny, obviously, as I said before, TJ taking off and leaving them in the water. Also, when they went back to land, and then we see Nia and Nehemiah still thinking that they're in it, and they're like, yeah, it's over. it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I found that the whole second part of the final in general was a little bit flat for me. Fell flat.
And again, the points didn't matter at the end. Again, we just saw that day one doesn't really matter. All you need to do on day one is just not be last. But there wasn't even like, I don't think there was a time advantage or anything for whoever led in points. Well, it ended up being both of them. No, and both of them ended up winning in any case. But it's like, man, you go through a lot of effort. You just don't want to be last so you don't get eliminated potentially before the final day. But a little bit flat, I feel, at the end. I expected a big Wes speech, at the end of, I tried so hard, like, I can't believe I finally won one again. If I didn't do it this time, I might have quit, similar to Johnny Bananas. I wouldn't have had the heart to come back, and none of that. It's just, yeah, I won. I'm great. I'm awesome. Let's keep it moving, So
he
that's
wanted another win
Wes.
under his belt before he came back to the main season, probably. He probably wants to be like, okay, I'm going to come back a champ. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's pretty much it here for the finale. We've got 15 minutes before we're going to be back live to talk about the Challenge USA. Actually, we didn't talk about points. Let's do points real quickly.
See how well we.
How much did you win by, Drew? Because we know it's you took it out early on the season. Lay it on us.
So coming in, well, just throwing this out there, everybody scored more points than they did last season, so congratulations on everybody there. Chris finishes up in third place with 310 points, with his best performing player being Nia with 109 points. So congratulations, Chris.
Couldn't have done it without Baby Eyes. Baby Eyes, thanks, buddy.
Chantel, you finish in second place with 389.5 points, with your top scorer being Brad with 128 points, but Nehemiah finished with 101 points. So very solid there. And then I finish in first place. John A being my number one point getter with 251.5 points. Wes with 196 points, thanks to those wins. I finish off with just a number of 819.5 points.
819.5 points. Okay. I'm never doing a draft with you ever again without going through like the trailer breakdown, like second by millisecond by second. Like, I'm never going to let you run away with this ever again. Not in this fashion.
Just some superlatives.
The Challenge USA will be different. I've got a feeling the Challenge USA is going to be different.
Yeah, let me bask in this before we get to that that whole draft. But some superlatives real quick. Confession King was Wes with the most confessions, of course. Confession Queen, John A, of course, because she won. Most points scored, John A with over 200 points. Steal of the draft was Sylvia, being the last person and getting me over like 40 points. Biggest bust was Tina, being the first woman off the board and only getting 19 points. Jemmy could be up there with 8 points and being the second woman picked. And then we have the unluckiest player. I have Veronica in first place because she almost got there and then hurt her foot. I also put Tina and Jemmy up there as well, as those are the superlatives for the season. Yes, unfortunately, you are up there with being the unluckiest. You're basically the whole team.
I'm happy that being super unlucky, still being second. So there's something.
I was just gonna say, me not being unlucky and still being dead last. Like, I mean, geez, it just shows how bad my picks were for this season as a whole. But everyone, thank you so much for jumping in the live here. We're hoping that you're going to be back with us in another 10 minutes or so to talk about the Challenge USA. If you're not going to be back, please follow and subscribe to Reality Realness with 3 S's here on YouTube, and the Angel Cake Entertainment channel as well on YouTube, as well as the Nullified Take channel if you're watching it here on YouTube as well. And we will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.